Hello, 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 and welcome to the Friday Night Chats. The Friday Night Chats are brought to you by the letter H for History Away. Yes, History Away is the amazing product that can make those historical facts disappear. It's also brought to you by the Connecticut Crossroads Project, a 501c3 that preserves community history through casual conversation. I almost said builds there, Alex. If you would like to share a memory or you would like to host a panel, a roundtable discussion, you can email me, Chris Fisher, at chris@ctcrossroadsproject.com, or you can email my main man and over there. Oh, wrong way. Over there.
There it
His
is.
thing is, yeah, there we go. We both have email addresses. It's pretty
There you go.
magical. Um, yeah, and you can listen to your neighbor's memories at www.ctcrossroadsproject.com. Over to you, Alex.
Hey, Alex. Nice.
Hey.
Hey. Nice to see everyone again. Thank you all for tuning in. I just want to say, please, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. We can't do this without you as well. So please, if you do have any topics you want us to discuss, again, email us at chris@ctcrossroadsproject.com or myself, which is below again, alex@ctcrossroadsproject.com. And, keep your pandemic conversations coming as well. And if you do want to have a conversation with us in general or forums, anything like that, I just want to reiterate what Chris said. Please email us because we love doing this. It's so much fun for us. And I know I get enjoyment out of it. I know Chris does as well. So please keep those coming.
Mash
Tonight,
those likes and subscribes.
exactly. Tonight, I'm having a little Gbot.
Nice.
Epco Gbot. So, I found this. So I was like, nice. I'm going to grab that. I haven't had that in a long time. And I think it's one of my favorite doubles. It's just supremely delicious. Anyone who's had it, you know what I'm talking about. Anyone who hasn't, it just goes down smooth. It's not as strong as you would think for a double. And it's just a great overall beer. Back to you, my friend. What are you having tonight?
I'm drinking water, Alex. What else would I be drinking?
Okay, that's fine. Cool, man.
I am drinking my summer go to
There you go.
Road Jam.
Road Jam.
Yeah, it actually was all that I had in the refrigerator. So
That's okay.
that's the
Why do you
reason.
say it like that, though? Why do you say it like that?
Because I really didn't I don't know. I don't like it as much as I used to.
Really? What changed?
I
Anything?
I grew
Didn't.
as a person, Alex. I don't know.
Did you?
No. Well, I mean, maybe all the IPAs I've had have burned the taste buds off of my tongue. I don't know. Like, I was more in the mood for like IPAs, and I feel like Road Jam used to be less on the like malty end of things, and now
Gotcha.
it's more. It tastes. I feel like it's more malt forward. I don't know. I can't tell you. I thought it used to be more sour, have that more of that sour mash taste, but I don't know what I'm talking about. So
I mean, I haven't had Road Jam in a long time, so I really can't say yay or nay to what you're saying. But I will say that I had Sea Hag a couple weeks ago, and it actually tasted very different than I remember Sea Hag tasting. So I don't know if they're doing some like different kind of recipe, maybe try to flirt with new ideas. So maybe they're trying to like differ their flavor profile a bit on
yeah,
certain beers. I don't know, but no offense to Nepco, I love Nepco. Please like and subscribe to us, please.
perfect sponsorship,
Yeah, exactly.
just like history
So
away.
exactly, how have you been doing? What's anything new? Anything going on? Anything different
Nada,
going on? Now?
nada. My wife is back at work, so that's super exciting. She's a teacher, and yeah, we're just returning to some form of normalcy at the library. We're actually returning to our out of pandemic hours.
Oh wow.
So yeah, I don't know how it's gonna go. I don't know how many people are actually gonna show up because Bridgewater virtually closes down at like 5, and since the pandemic, it's been closing down at like 3. So
Oh wow.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. But we have lots of work to do, lots of interesting things. We're trying to be pretty creative. We just booked a new program that I'll actually plug on here because I think a lot of people the 3 people who listen to this might be interested in it. Um, So we booked a program with Bill Hosley, who I chatted with on the Crossroads project, and he's doing a talk on gravestones. And what is fascinating about it is the title is America's First Sculptures, and it talks about how Connecticut and New England, this was their first sculpture, and also export industry. So I think it's fascinating. So so we'll October 29th at 6. So if you want to register, it's on Zoom. Check it out. Yeah, so
I definitely probably will, because that sounds super fascinating for me. I think kind of old type of monuments, anything like that. It's super interesting to me. I'm actually very enthused to do this. Is there a limit on it? How many people can go on, or no? Is it open?
Right now, it's open to everyone.
Okay, perfect.
I look in here and I'm like swiping my hair, and then I realize I'm swiping in the wrong direction. So we've been trying to be creative and figure out how we're gonna do things.
Awesome, man.
But yeah,
that's awesome. Nothing really new. Just hanging, doing the same thing, working again. Still working remotely, which is awesome. So super enthused about that. No end sight to that yet, so that's good news for me. I mean, again, I know a lot of people can't do that, but for me, it's definitely a good thing, because I don't want to have to go to the office. I don't want to have to make that drive, and then also go sit in an office where possibly people could be sick or not, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So still doing that, which is awesome. Nothing really major has changed now. Just still trucking along, working Monday through Friday, which is nice. I'm actually working tomorrow for a bit, which is a change of scenery for me. So it'll be a Saturday morning work. So it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens.
Joining the proud weekend workforce with me.
Exactly. And maybe we'll do one of these tomorrow morning while I'm working and you're working. We'll just sit here and watch us work together. Who knows?
Oh, that sounds like a good plan, actually.
Yeah. How's your
Burnham Library?
Yeah, live from my desk, Alex Larson. Hello, live from my living room. It's me.
Here we go. Oh, Eli. Wow, Alex, I've got it. So it could be like Saturday Night Live, but it's like live from Bridgewater. It's Saturday morning.
We should start. Maybe I'll just work permanently on Saturdays, and then we can just start that live from Saturday mornings. It's Chris and Alex working, and just set up for 4 hours or 6 hours, whatever. Just watch us work. It'll be fun. See the expletives flow out of my mouth, probably your mouth too, from time to time. I'm sure. We'll see. What happens. It could be a good kind of conversation on a Saturday.
Yeah, it would be like Big Brother back in the old days, like.
How's your wife doing with going back to school?
It's been fine so far, but we'll see what happens next week. We'll see what next week brings.
Yeah, right.
How's everything going with Kim?
Good. She's still working from home till I think the end of the year now. So she's just a lot of reports to do, a lot of calling on places and all that good stuff. But at least again, she doesn't have to be out in stores and all the unnecessary contact that she'd have to do. So that's really, really great for her. And again, it's an added bonus to the jobs we already have. So thankfully we have those, and thankfully they let us work from home.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So last time we spoke, we talked about fairs, and we also talked about how we were teaming up with the Bridgewater Fire Department, and how we were doing that event, and we did it last weekend. So what were your thoughts on that?
It was awesome. Again, I just think as a whole, what we do and what we try and represent, and the conversations we have are just so fascinating to me, and they make me really think about different areas of my life, different times I've had in certain places. But like when we did that last weekend, I would just remember when we had these discussions of like my times at the Bridgewater Fair. It was amazing. It was I thought of the same things. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember doing that when I was younger. Oh, I remember doing that, 15 years ago. I remember doing that just a year ago when I was at your tent, or 2 years ago when I was at your tent. It's like it just brought up all these great memories that I remember having with friends, family. My close compatriot over here, Chris, friend adjacent.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you're what I'm your friends.
I know, we're best friends. Come on.
What do you have do you have something from from those conversations that you thought was funny or great?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I think how everybody kind of started out at like one tent or one area, and they all ended up going to like the roast beef tent, and then also ended up somewhere at like the new taco stand or new taco tent.
Oh yeah,
was just amazing. Like I think 2 or 3 of them for the time I was there, they all started at X and then went to the roast beef tent, but then ended up working at the taco tent at some point. Which the taco tent is a pretty new tent there, right? In the last 3 years, I think, or 4 years.
Yeah, correct.
It's just fascinating. It's just fascinating how everyone they all wanted to work at these certain tents, or maybe not, but like they all started to work at these tents at some point during their tenure at Bridgewater Fair, whether it was in 50s, 60s, or now. It was just it's mind blowing.
Yeah,
how long they've been there, and how many people have worked in those tents over the years. It's just crazy.
Yeah,
I'm still laughing now. I'm just thinking, I'm like, that's crazy. How nuts.
Yeah, and it's great and funny and sort of interesting that like and it truly was like it was a big deal like for the taco tent to be so revolutionary, but like that's it's awesome. I loved how and he actually it didn't so this gentleman Jamie Sullivan came and spoke with us, and he was telling us, he sat down and chatted with us. We ended up deciding that we were going to do a longer form interview later on because these were generally like shorter stuff. So he came and spoke with me a few days ago. But when he came and spoke with us at this event, he was telling us that so they used to run snow fencing along the property, and they would borrow the payloader from the town and to pound in the snow fencing, but they needed someone small to hold the posts as they got pounded in. And like, who's the perfect size but a child? So they sent kids under the payloader to hold these fence posts in, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I now change mine to that. That was actually my favorite part about that. And the pond that used to be in the back, actually, that was another funny story. At the end of the day, they'd all strip down to their skivvies and go jumping in the pond.
I don't know if there are any skivvies to be had there, Alex.
That's true. Good point.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was what was really cool to me was sort of hammering home the whole concept that the fair is a truly community event, right? Like it's not just the Firehouse people, pardon me, not just the Women's Auxiliary. It's truly a Bridgewater event. And also that that well, I guess it's the same thing. Like it just takes a whole community to make it happen. Like it's pretty fascinating.
Absolutely.
So it was a good time. It was a really good time. Despite it was a somber event because it was sort of a memorial service for someone, but that we were invited to sit there. So yeah, it was we were honored to be there as a Crossroads project, and also to preserve all these great memories. So if you have a memory of the Bridgewater Fair, I'd strongly encourage you to record it on your phone or reach out to one of us, and we'll be happy to record it with you. We can do that over Skype or over Zoom. So yeah, that'd be lots of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, it'll be really, really fun, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I have memories to go down Bridgewater Fair. We can go on those too. We can expand on those as well if you'd like.
Oh, Bridgewater Fair memories?
Yeah. I have some good ones of those. I mean, just 2 years ago, I was hanging out with you in your library tent. That was amazing too.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Met the candle people. That was awesome. I I don't know, 3 or 4 candles from them because they're just so fascinating.
Oh yeah,
Their story was just amazing.
That should actually be like my that should be my quarantine recommendation today. But I won't. I'll just tell you all now. Check out Wren House. Wren House. I can't remember, but it's Wren House. But they're candles, and they're in Newtown. Awesome product, right, Alex? Such a good product.
Oh, amazing! And the scents are just so great. Oh my god, you can light a candle in one room and you'll smell it in another room. They're like so intoxicating. It's so great. Oh my god.
And they're clean too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, clean. Oh, absolutely. And wick doesn't get lost either. Like in most candles that you buy from like a store, the wicks don't get lost. Wax doesn't eat them up. They're an amazing product. And this, like I said, the scents, they were so great. Did an orange vanilla one. I think there was like a hibiscus one I got, or like a seagrass, something like that. It was a weird combination, but it smelled so good.
Yeah.
And their little the containers that they're in it too are extraordinary too. They're exquisite. Just how they do everything, I think, is just awesome. I don't know. Can't say any other adjectives for it. They're an amazing company.
I'll link to their when I upload this to YouTube. I'll link to their page. It'll either be in the notes down below, or if I can figure out how to do one of those eyes up in the corner, I'll add that so you guys can just click on that and get on over to their website, because just check it out. They're awesome. Company. They're good people. And that's the thing. Amazing. Like, it's, building community. We sat there for, so I sat there for like 3 days with them. Alex sat there for 2 days, I think, right, Alex? You were there twice. Yeah. And like, so you just build these relationships through sometimes through hardship, because I think it rained quite a bit. As it always does. And yet, this weekend, Alex, was the driest fair weekend on record, and the fair did not happen, alas.
Exactly, and unfortunately, because of the time we're living in, didn't happen. But again, such a great place, the Bridgewater Fair, and such great people you meet, great sellers of awesome products, honestly. I'm looking at Wren House products right now, and they have this awesome Mango Tango candle that I want to now buy. So thank you for reinvigorating me with that. So thank you.
Yeah, they're good stuff. What is it? Wren House?
Atelier.
Yeah, that word.
So it's WREN House, and then ATELIER.
Yeah, I don't speak French.
I don't either, but I hope that came across like French, maybe.
How do you say candle in Swedish, Alex?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't speak much Swedish, as you know. So thank you for putting me on the spot. Maybe my sister or brothers watch this. They can then chime in and be like, "Oh, candle is this in Swedish?" And then I'll debate them and say, "No, it's not. It's actually this." No, I have no idea.
It's actually a meatball.
Yeah, maybe candela. Sorry. There we go. I'm back up.
High quality production values.
I know. Sorry.
Tonight we thought that we would talk about lots of different things, but I wanted to give you guys show you guys the exhibit that we had put together for some of the Bridgewater Fair memories. So I'm just going to switch over to this view. And there we go. Alex, just so you know, you're seeing it backwards, but don't worry.
What? Huh?
So this is the homepage for the Connecticut Crossroads Project. This is our archive. It's not like beautiful in the sense that it's not meant to be super pretty, because it's meant to convey the information. But then you can either scroll down here to the featured exhibit, or you can click on these browse exhibits on the side. And you can click on Memories of Bridgewater Fair. We've put together this exhibit, and it, we give the basic idea of the fair, but we ask the bigger question: what is the fair? Because I feel like people always talk about this sort of like, it's like when people around here talk about the city. We're obviously talking about New York, and we have a shared understanding that it is New York City, but in the general like New Milford area, when you talk about the fair, you're talking about the Bridgewater Fair. As I'm sure back, earlier, if you said the fair in this general area, you were probably actually talking about Danbury Fair. But so we asked this big question, right? Like, what is the fair? So we know that it's an institution built on tradition, and we have this great conversation. There's actually another one within this record right here. So if you click on the image, you can hear that. So we had this great interview with this gentleman, Sam Smith, who's been with the fire department for a very long time. Carol Wilbur, who grew up in Bridgewater, and her grandmother lived across the street, and they used to wind raffle tickets in the house. So not only is it's an institution built on tradition, but it also has to change to survive. And here are some great voices of that change. We had Emily Cable, who actually was one of the founders, along with Stacy Sullivan, I believe, who founded the Taco Tent. Scott Shale talked a lot about the fair and how it's evolving and changing. But most importantly, like I just love this idea that it's built on the love and support of generations. And we have two conversations here, one with Kathy Sullivan and one with Kevin Sullivan. And Kathy had told me this great story about how she marched with Kevin when she first joined the Women's Auxiliary, with Kevin on her chest in a carrier, So I just, it's pretty special. And there's also another conversation that isn't up yet, but they came to us at that same event, and it was a mother and two children, and we got to speak with all of them, and just seeing sort of the generational impact of the fair. But in sum, like, what is the fair? So the fair is you. It's all of you, because without all of us, the fair would be nothing. So you can go through and you can listen to all the memories that we've recorded. Jamie Sullivan, unfortunately, I didn't get to snap a picture of him, but we will. But today we thought we would share a shorter one. This is Julie Ledbetter. So Julie is not. She didn't grow up in Bridgewater, but she's lived there for quite a while, and so I'm going to share that memory. So Alex, I don't think you'll be able to hear it, but
all right.
I'll give you a thumbs up when we're back. Okay.
Thanks. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, hello. This is Chris Fisher from the Connecticut Crossroads Project, and I'm joined with Alex Larson and Valerie Fisher. And what is your name, Miss?
Hi, my name is Julie Ledbetter. I'm a Bridgewater resident and have come to 30 fairs.
30 fairs. Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first started coming?
I was hot out of culinary school.
Okay.
And my husband and I, boyfriend at the time, and I would volunteer in the roast beef tent. So saw a lot of, got to put our meat fabrication skills to use.
Did your husband go to culinary school too?
Yes, that's where we met.
I didn't realize that.
Yep,
Okay.
we met at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park, New York.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, many good memories of the fair. Have been here every year. Obviously, we're involved in the fire department. And the last two fairs, I have a little claim to fame. I'll keep it short because, I won the skillet toss 2 years in a row, so that was a lot of fun.
I heard Susan Yashabecki was quite the contender for that.
Yes, she was right in there. But happy to say that our daughter comes up and she looks forward to it every year, and she likes to work in the taco tent.
Okay.
And I run the fried dough tent, so I can kind of keep an eye on her across the way. But she's sorry, as we all are, that we're not doing it this year. But no, that's about it for me.
Why is this fair special to you?
Brings us all together, and especially with being a firefighter now and belonging to the fire department that way. It's really great, and running the fried dough tent is a lot of fun. It's a huge months-long commitment that we put in to
Really?
this, and I've laughed, this whole month. I'm like, well, I it's like when you retire and your time gets filled anyway. It's like, well, I guess we would have squeezed this in, you know, we would have squeezed the fair in this year. But no, it's good to be here just today,
Right.
just seeing people, and I had a roast beef sandwich and a chicken, and it was delicious. So I kind of feel like it was the fair.
So what you're really saying is it has nothing to do with connecting community. It's just about the food.
Well, the food
I'm
and,
just
and
teasing.
yeah. Well, being in the culinary field, you know, I always look at that. But no, but this is a great project that you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm going to stop recording.
Yep.
Okay, Alex, we're back.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, so Julia had talked about how, well, of course, the food. I mean, because I think that's pretty much everyone's experience with any and all fairs.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think that's, I definitely think that's what you remember about fairs is the food, for sure.
Yeah. But also, she just talked about how, you know, this great feeling of being part of something bigger, and you know, how the summer in some ways feels vacant to her without this, and but how, linking it back to food, how, you know, the scents and smells of that day when we were on the fairgrounds and we were recording these memories made her feel connected to it. And I think, you know, there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely. I think that's what, I think that's that the sense of smell, sight, all that brings you back to like the days that, you know, made you most happiest probably. And, you know, the fair for a lot of people, you know, livelihood for some, but, you know, also like just that remembrance of like end of summer, but also like that time, you know, of summer is, you know, the Bridgewater Fair or the fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, you know, everyone, you know, that we had conversations with, I think that was kind of the resounding message I heard from them was like, this was like the start of summer for them, but also the end of summer. But it was like that kind of, they knew summer was coming when they had to like start setting up for the fair, which was, you know, fascinating to me. Cause you know, it's towards the end of summer, like that we traditionally think of summer. Right. So, I mean, it's very interesting to hear, you know, a lot of people have kind of the same thinking about like what summer is, but like, you know, what the fair is. And again, they all worked similar tents and did similar things, and they all had essentially the same remembrance of the fair, and it was that sense of togetherness, wholeness, community, you know, family.
Right.
And whether or not they were like family with, you know, by familial ties, but just family in general. And it was, you know, it was a sweet moment, honestly. You know, I loved every second of it.
Yeah, no, it was really special, and it was, you know, it's always touching to me, and perhaps it's just me being sentimental, but like it's really truly a gift that these folks pass on these sort of like, I mean, they're not always super intimate memories, but to me, all memories are intimate, like they're part of you. So for people to share those with us, I think it's unique and it's special. So
absolutely. I mean, I just think, you know, the mother with her two kids who shared her conversation there when, you know, she was there showing her cows, and, you know, how much she missed not being able to do that anymore. But like also just because the fair's not running this year, she couldn't bring her kids there. And her kids were like, seemed visibly upset, like when they were just talking about like, you know, we're not there for the fair. We're not there to help out kind of thing, you know? And it's, you know, it was a very, very touching moment, because I was just like, oh man, you know, you never think of it like that. It's like, oh, the fair is not happening because of this, you know, what's going on in the world, right? But, you know, these two kids are like, oh, you know, I missed the fair because, you know, I liked helping out my mom and my dad at the fair. You know, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I'm going to see my friends at the fair, I'm going to hang out at the fair. It was like helping out at the fair, helping out for this bigger cause, this greater cause, you know, for the fire department and you know, for the town of Bridgewater. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Alex, I've been thinking about something as we're talking. Yeah. It's sort of related and it's sort of not. But it's about how the pandemic as a whole has sort of its effects on communities and sort of, you know, there are a number of sort of horrible effects. But like, so like the cancellation of the Bridgewater Fair, but like I've seen a lot, I should just cut to the chase, I've seen a lot of very vocal but ineffective battles over saving historic properties that are being torn down recently.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, like, if you think that maybe there's some connection right now to where we're at. Like, why now? Why do you think that maybe these things are being torn down because people aren't going out and seeing things as much, or do you think it's just that people have more time to fight these battles?
So I guess which historical?
So there are a couple of there's a big one down in Madison on Main Street is the General's house that is getting torn down or has been torn down. There's one in Colchester that just got torn down. You know, the list goes on. These buildings are, people just think that they're buildings, but you know, you never get those materials back. Like, it's not, they are some of their parts. They are like built from history onto themselves, which is sort of the interesting thing about them. So I don't know.
I mean, you know, I think part of it has to do with possibly, you know, people becoming more conscious to what's going on and like seeing, hey, do we need this building here? Like, could it be used for something different? You know, and also I think, to your point, I think there's just a lot of time now too that people are taking more notice of these things where maybe they're walking by it on their way to work or on the way to the bagel shop, whatever it was, and never really gave it a second glance. But now, because you know, we're all stuck at home for the most part. Obviously, we can come and go as we please, random places, but like you're essentially stuck at home. I think it does create this kind of effect of, you know, you have, I don't want to use this term, but I have to because I'm just grabbing it. I have no other way to describe it, but like you have nothing else to do with your time. So like now you're like, hey, let's try and do something about X building or Y building, you know, and you know, just where I am again, there's another call for the Bantam Annex where we are, you know, by Arethusa, to be refurbished for something to be done with it, because obviously it's a tax burden unto of itself, but like, do you tear it down? Do you destroy it? I mean, the Postal Service is there, so you can't really do that. They kind of have a lease on that part of the building, but like, what do you do with the other parts of it, right? And there's a renewed interest in doing something with it, and there's always been interest in doing something with it, and there's always been calls for Litchfield to do something, but now the echoes are just so much more. There's so much, the echo chamber is just far superior than it was in years past, you know, even 8 months ago, 9 months ago. Now, because everyone's sitting at home, they now are taking a renewed interest in a building like that, which is, you know, one of those buildings that's renowned for Bantam and Litchfield. And I think similarly can be said for, you know, Colchester and Madison. You know, it's a historical building. It's, you know, the Bantam Annex is known for its kind of architecture, and the the guy who, you know, the architecture who developed the building, he's renowned in what he did, and he created this great building, and people don't want to see that go, whether it's for historical purposes, whether it's just be a thorn in the side of the town. But, you know, they're taking a super renewed interest in it, and it's, I don't know if it's because of this or if it would have been coming anyway, but I feel like some of it has to do with there's just time on people's hands, and they want, you know, to make their towns better in a sense, and not have, maybe, again, I don't know much about the Colchester or Madison houses, but like, you know, if they're decrepit or something, if they're just not being kept up with, maybe it makes their towns, you know, less vibrant or less nice looking or something. So there's maybe that interest in like, oh, let's tear this down and build something nice, you know, that can last for another 300 years or something, you know.
So
I don't know if that plays into it.
I wonder if it actually, if just to sort of spin what you said on its side, if it might have something to do with the fact that maybe people are taking a renewed interest in their communities.
Oh yeah, it could be. Like I'll go down the road again. I think maybe they want to have kind of a new space for X to happen, you know, maybe like a community center, maybe a kids center, maybe a YMCA or something like that for their kids, their family members to do something, as opposed to just a house sitting there not doing, you know, just to be there, to be visible for historical purposes, which again, I love those type of things, but maybe I'm one in in 100,000, whereas there's 99,000 people who want it to be something else.
Yeah, well,
Right?
I think
I mean,
there's definitely a bigger conversation we could have about American preservation values
Yes.
because they're virtually non-existent. Whereas, like in Europe, they're preserving these buildings that are like 800 years old, and we're like, oh, it's 300 years old. Tear it down. It's a piece of junk. But I think that again, bigger conversation, but I think people get obsessed with new and plastic and clean,
Of
like
course.
this idea
Yeah.
of clean, which again has driven this notion of cleanliness has sort of been a veiled attempt at destroying a lot of historical things, like the urban blight removal in the mid-century was all driven by this notion of cleanliness. It ended up, not only destroying history, but also destroying a number of communities of people of color and immigrants and all that stuff. So, I mean, for example, downtown Hartford, the original downtown on the water is completely gone because of that movement. But again, so that's a side thing. But I just I think I'm wondering about like the history piece of it, where so like you've framed it within the context of people being aware of their communities and wanting things like these things to be torn down for their communities. But I'm wondering like about people being aware of their communities and maybe aware of the built landscape so that they want to preserve these places. And I don't know, like I think there's something to be said about we all have more, well, not necessarily, some of us have more time right now. The world has definitely not sped up for all of us yet. And so you're looking around and maybe there's a greater appreciation. I spoke with a gentleman today named Larry Neary, who he said that the greatest thing that 2020 has given us time away from things we love. And so we've become aware of the impact of things in our lives. And he was specifically talking about the fair, because those are that's my world right now, is talking to people about the fair. But I think there's some truth in that, and I wonder if maybe people are seeing things more clearly. And this is totally like such a privileged view to be able to be talking like this. So I feel sort of guilty, but it's a conversation we're having. So yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think I mean to kind of, I guess, go along with you, but push back a little bit. I mean, I think people's thoughts on like the built landscape and these historical structures, I feel like it's also subjective. It's singularly to each person, right? I mean, some person might move to a place because there's whatever, Roger Sherman's house is next door, or he grew up here, right? But other people might move there because of it's a nice small knit community with a good school system, and they can grow up in this nice tight knit community. So I don't know that, again, because full transparency, history major here, love history, love historical buildings. So this isn't my own sense. I would love to preserve them, but I think some people in certain towns and where they live, they see these old historical buildings as kind of this ghastly building and ghastly thing that they don't want to be, that they don't want there, right? It's kind of like, why are we preserving that when we could make it into, like you said, this nice plasticky structure that kind of holds its form for the next 300 years, and then we'll tear it down again and restart with whatever is new at the time, right?
Well, so let me just interject there that most modern structures are actually only supposed to last for like 75 years. But
yes,
keep going.
But I'm just saying historical because But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the thinking behind. I would assume that's kind of the thinking behind people wanting to or supporting getting rid of these historical houses or historical buildings, because they don't represent what the community is now, but not understanding what the community was. And I think you kind of have to have both intersecting together, because the community now wouldn't be the community it is now without the community that it was. There would be nothing there if this hadn't started with Roger Sherman or whoever, whoever's house it was, whoever in Connecticut's history, right? You can bring up hundreds of people, right? And this town wouldn't have been the town it was without that person living there. It wouldn't have the notoriety it is without that. Madison, Mystic wouldn't be the town it was without the old lore of the whaling ships and the whaling community that it was. So do you want to see that history gone too? I mean, for me, no, personally. I mean, it's part of our history, and again, it's kind of a grotesque history we have. But I mean, it's one of those histories where, like, it's one of those where you kind of need to kind of keep it, for Madison, not for Madison. I'm sorry, for Mystic. I'm just thinking of Mystic, and just came to my mind.
Yeah, but Alex, our built landscape defines our communities. Full stop. Like that, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sure. I'm just thinking of why people would want these buildings down.
Yeah,
I'm just playing, like, I don't know, I guess semi-devil's advocate, if I can.
I think it just has something to do with the money, though. Like, I think it's money on, like, a number of different fronts, right? So, like, people want to tear them down because they're interested in making money. But also, like, we as a state have done very little to promote true historical tourism and our true historical landscape. And so, like, again, follow the money. Where's the money been dumped? It hasn't been dumped there. And so, I don't know.
But I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, that's probably, yes, you're, I would say 100% correct in that. But again, wouldn't it behoove a town to kind of come up with money, maybe in some sort of facet, instead of spending it on, bringing a new gas station there, bringing a new Sonic Burger there or whatever, maybe investing in that house that's on the down?
Whoa. Are you picking on New Milford right now?
No,
I'm just
not at all.
Because they just brought in, like, that new Sonic.
Oh, I had no idea. Are they bringing in a new gas station?
No,
Is that what they're doing?
It's a gas station and a Sonic.
Oh,
and
I
guess it's going to be a 7-Eleven too.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I guess my point is, instead of bringing that in, why don't you invest then that money or some monies in historical preservation? I mean, the state for sure should do something about it, but I think towns themselves can also invest some monies into that through local donors, through people, through nonprofits, whatever the case may be. I mean, it's of course, I think the state plays a huge role in it, and the state, specifically Connecticut, has done a poor job in that. But I also think towns have done a really poor job, because there's a lot of historical houses, buildings, artifacts here that we have not preserved. I mean,
yeah, no, and I think, like, we also, well, there's like this cultural thing in the United States too, where, like, our historical preservation laws have, like, no teeth, really.
Yeah.
They do locally, but our national preservation laws are, like, they open you up to grants, and that's about it. But, like, I don't know, like, I think you're probably right, but I also think culturally, the United States is just not equipped for some reason to appreciate its history in the same way that places like, England or I don't know what Sweden's like, but
I mean, we have like castles still there. I mean, there's right across from Sweden and Denmark, where Hamlet's castle, like, that's where Shakespeare, Hamlet. I mean, that's the castle, and it's still preserved to this day. And I mean, that's, I don't know, 500 years old, 600. I mean, that, again.
But I'm not even talking about, like, monuments or things like that. I'm talking about, like, domestic or vernacular structures that are.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Like, I mean, do they, like, I know in England, like, you have these, like, cottages that are, like, ancient that people live in. Are there places like that in Sweden, or were they just living in igloos at that point in time?
Yes, they were living in igloos. I mean, again, full transparency again.
No, I get it, man.
To answer this, but I mean, I know just going around some of the landscape in Sweden, there are old houses there, like, and they're preserved because of the fact that they signify what Sweden is and was, and trying to preserve that kind of old Swedish heritage. So there definitely are. I mean, but again, my brother.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get my brother on here one time to talk about Sweden here, Sweden community. Because I mean, or any of my brothers actually, or my sister actually too. She's another one. Yeah, we get them on here to talk about that because like they would know far more than me. But I mean, I have seen some of like the old structures and houses, and it's preserving that old Swedish way, which still kind of is there today, right? And just a little story anecdote, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
Back to like the old Connecticut out. I mean, look at Harriet Beecher Stowe's house that used to be in Litchfield.
Right.
They moved it for what reason? Because it was an ugly eyesore. People used to come on buses, on droves from, inner city, but, cities, suburbanites come to view the house, and they moved it. They took it down for whatever reason. It was the house you grew up in, and there was no reason to do it. It was a good sort of revenue stream. If you think of it in revenue, people were coming to look at it. They would then spend their money at restaurants or coffee shops, whatever was here at the time, but they chose to remove it. Why? Like why? For what reason? And it's just more so because it was almost an eyesore, right?
Where was it in Litchfield, Alex?
It was, from what I heard, it was on North Street past the old jail cell. So like if you're going down North Street, like right around that area. Again, I've pieced together with multiple conversations from people who knew about the house, but again, it's mixed on exactly where it was, but it was like a little house there where she grew up in. And I think that's like one of those houses you should want to keep and keep because it's like Harriet Beecher Stowe, right? Everyone reads her. And she's probably one of the seminal people when you grow up reading books, right? It's Harriet Beecher Stowe, Tom's Cabin, right? So, I mean, again, that's just the kind of show, like even Litchfield's part of it, right? And we're like that kind of keeping our town to what it used to be, with, you can only paint your shutters a certain color. You can only paint your siding a certain color. Like
unless you're Stop and Shop.
Exactly. But like keeping that old kind of colonial Victorian-esque type era. But like, why would you get rid of Harriet Beecher Stowe's house? That would have fit in perfectly. No matter who lived there, if anyone lived there, or you just preserved it and kept, put the money into upkeep it, again.
It's about like, so marketing and tourism, right? Course. And like, unless you're going to invest and create a destination, it isn't worth it. But like culturally, to tear down these landmarks, it's like so devastating. And like we should be doing it because it could make us money, and also it's good for us. It's good for us to maintain our history. Yeah, I have so much to say about tearing down old buildings.
I agree. Yes.
I know you do too. But
well, I mean, again, I don't want to pick on Litchfield, but it's just because I live here. I mean, like the old courthouse there. What are we going to do with it? Right? It's just sitting there. It's not being used. It's not being used for anything.
I thought it was. Aren't they businesses?
No, there's nothing in the. Not the old court. I'm sorry. The courthouse near at the corner.
Sorry, I'm thinking of the jail. The
jail cell. Yeah, okay. Jail cell is businesses. The old courthouse. I mean, you can do tours in there. There's tours. You can go see it, and it's great because like I've been in. It's so awesome. The old bank vault in there. It's amazing. But like, there's this constant. We need to do something with it. Like, let's put town hall in there, this or that there, and it's like, why can't we just preserve this for what it was? It's this kind of historic monument of Connecticut, but also of Litchfield. You know what I mean? It's like one of those kind of seminal buildings within Connecticut. It's this awesome, old-looking bank vault building. It's like brings you back. If you picture 1870s, 1880s, that's the building you picture, right? And it's still a similar facade, exactly not the same, and obviously the indoors is not the same either. But like, still, you can kind of when you walk by it or when you go inside it, you're like, wow, I could picture myself living in 1800s here.
I can picture myself being prosecuted in there.
Yes, I can picture myself being a bank robber. Awesome. No, but I mean, it's just it kind of it brings chills up, because I walk up in town all the time with my dog and stuff, and it brings chills sometimes just walking back, and I'm like, wow, I wonder what what happened here, like what was going on at this time, and like when they essentially decommissioned it, to just basically being sitting there, like how the building feels almost like, does the building have feelings? Does it feel anything? No, I'm being serious. Like, it's kind of a stupid thing, but like, does the building have feelings? Like, it's sitting there and it's just kind of like, no one's really kind of putting in work or time to make it what it should be, I think. But
Yeah, no,
my own
I
thoughts.
hear you. I mean, I frequently wonder with my house, like, what it thinks of what I've done
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
yours is
Because,
that's a great point. I didn't even think of that to bring that up. Yes.
no, like, I mean, like, so I'm not completely void of the idea that, like, buildings need to evolve and change to suit a modern, like, lifestyle. Like, of course they do, because if they're not lived in, then they're museums, and most places can't be museums, right? Like that courthouse should be a museum. Harriet Beecher Stowe Place should be a museum,
Yeah.
and it could all be linked together as a destination with the law school that's also in Litchfield. But that's a bigger conversation.
Again, yeah.
But yeah, like I think about that a lot. Like I wonder, and maybe not so much in the context of the house having feelings, but like I'm like, oh, I wonder if so William Couch was the gentleman who built my house. I'm like, because I don't know, maybe I'm being sentimental about it, but I think he loved this house, and like I'm like, would he like what I've done, what we've done, and so no, I get it, I absolutely get it. In buildings, especially homes, but the courthouse too, like they need to be used or lived in, like otherwise, like it's it's important.
Absolutely. And
So,
I mean, I didn't want to like make it sound like I was being cheesy, but like with buildings have feelings, kind of like thinking about like what was going on in that time, like with the person who built this or with the people who worked here 100 years ago. Like what would they want this building to be? What would they want this house to be? It's the same with any house. I mean, there's the house we lived in Woodbury. I think it was built in 1790s. Same type of stuff. Like it was updated to kind of modern times, but there still need to be other modern updates, right? And it's like, well, what would you do differently? Like how would you make this so it kind of keeps its same old farmhouse appeal and charm of Woodbury, Connecticut, but like also make it modern and like without tearing down everything and restarting from scratch. Like, what do you do? And it's like you need, again, it comes down to money and investments and that, unfortunately. But I think like that's, again, to your point, maybe the state needs to reevaluate how they do that. And also, but I also think it needs to come from the towns too, because if there are these properties that are like very historically significant, maybe they should take the time to kind of reevaluate how they assess them and how they provide money to them.
Yeah, I think it's going to take like a cultural paradigm shift too. Honestly, like I think we are in the United States are very, very focused on the notion of how things can create revenue. We have those discussions about like education and libraries and all that stuff, and like so I don't know that we can find we easily find intrinsic value in things. It's a hard thing for Americans to do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly on that. Yes.
Sort of tiptoeing around our true feelings. Well, Alex, we're almost at an hour. I think we're at sort of a good stopping point. So I want to shoot it out to you. What's your quarantine recommendation for this week?
So my wife's actually been reading this book. I haven't started it yet, but I'm going to. It's White Fragility, it's called. I won't give any spoilers away, but it has to do with probably what you're thinking it's about. But it's from what my wife has said, it's a phenomenal book, and it kind of pieces together everything we're going through now on the cultural landscape. Also, the race, with race, with the race conversation today as well.
Right.
It's just a really phenomenal book, and everything she's told me about it, I'm like, please finish. I want to read immediately. So, I mean, that's my recommendation for this week, and hopefully I'll be done with it by next week, so then I can fill you in on exactly, the synopsis of it, if you will. But it sounds like a very, very awesome book. So I highly recommend it.
I can get you a copy if you want.
I mean, she has one here and just waiting. Okay. I mean, she's basically done with it. I just haven't picked it up to read it yet. Tonight I'm reading it, Chris. Jeez.
Whatever. Fine, you can have a copy. You can't use the library.
No, because the last time I borrowed a book from you, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, it eventually made it to my house.
This week after 2.5 years.
I think I was still living at my mom's. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, basically like 50 years ago. You weren't even born yet, and I borrowed your book. But yeah, anyway, White Fragility, awesome book. I highly, highly recommend it. It comes highly recommended from my wife, Kim, so she'll never steer you wrong on any recommendation. So I, again, highly recommend it.
Hashtag drink
Brandon, over to
Sunwink.
you. Oh yes, and drink Sunwink, please. They're now in Danbury Whole Foods and Milford Whole Foods. So please buy them if you can.
So I have two I'm gonna do. The real one that's like less fun but more truthful. So let's talk truth, folks. It's a hard summer and a hard few months for a lot of not-for-profits. So, like I'm thinking specifically about like the Bridgewater Fire Department, and a lot of folks that those sort of things support. So think about your local not-for-profits. If you can support them, go right ahead, because it's a good time to do so. They can't do their events that they normally do. A lot of them are doing appeal letters, which they get lost in your mail, and they're meaningless. But I'm begging you to think about them, because they do a lot of good. They do a lot of things that you probably don't realize they do. So yeah, think about your local fire departments if they're volunteer, if they accept donations. Think about your libraries. Think about who knows, a lot of places. So
the local food pantry as well.
Yeah, that's another really good one.
Absolutely.
I think it's I appreciate that. It's a good one. Not trying to be trite or cliche. Like I think it's an important thing to think about. And then the other thing that I'd like to recommend, and it's escaped me, as it almost always does when I have true recommendations.
Should we come back to you, because now I have another recommendation?
Oh yeah, go for it, and let me remember what my recommendation was. Go for it.
Are you sure?
Yeah. No, it's fine.
Okay. Sorry,
No, this is 100% Chris.
I also recommend another book, actually, so you can see where I'm going with this. It's actually right here. If you hold on 2 seconds, I'm going to grab it.
Yeah, go for it. I'll play some music. Dun, 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 da, 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 da,
Sorry, because I just thought of this.
dun, dun.
It's called, right here is the title, Meditations on Philosophy, on First Philosophy. You see that?
Oh, nice.
Right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Rene Descartes. Awesome kind of introduction. Well, in my opinion, this is my first introduction to philosophy and thought-provoking philosophy, and also rhetoric, as well as logic thinking. Awesome book, super easy read. As you can see, it's not too long.
That's
But
cool.
I've definitely read it. I don't even know. I think this is probably my 20th, maybe 25th time reading it, and I'm gonna probably read it again, because there's so many good things in there, and I think they're relevant today as well. And it's just an awesome read, easy read. If you want something to do while you're waiting for, I don't know, picking up groceries or something like that, awesome read too. So sorry to steal your thunder, man.
No, there's no stealing of thunder happening. The other thing that I wanted to recommend is I had a great opportunity to listen to an awesome webinar by the FCNL, which is pardon me for sort of mixing some faith-based stuff in here, which is totally not my jam, but
Okay.
it's Friends something national legislation. It's the Quaker lobby. They lobby for lots of positive change. But I got to listen to this whole webinar on advocacy and teaching advocacy to children. And so I think it's a good thing to sort of consider, especially for those of us who are parents or involved with small children, teaching them to fight for what they believe in. So if you head on over to FCNL, they have that webinar on there. It was pretty good. Or just think about it, because it's something good to think about. So yeah, we good, right, Alex?
Yeah, we're good. Please like and subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube. Please.
No, Alex, it's smash that like.
Smash that like. And please, also, I want to reiterate, because we say in the beginning, we also say at the end, send us your pandemic conversations. If you have them, send your friends, family, anyone to us. If you just want to have a conversation with us, we will thoroughly enjoy that. That's what we want. So please email us and let us know, and we'll make it happen. We can do it virtually, as Chris said, Zoom, Google Meets, FaceTime if you want, a phone call, however you want it done. We can make it happen.
Don't forget about our corporate sponsor, Alex.
GBot, awesome.
No, History Away.
Oh, History Away. Sorry, I forgot already. My apologies.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. This is Chris Fisher with the Connecticut Crosswords Ballot Project. Alex Larson over in the other box. I always do that.
Right
I wanna go over here.
Right here.
Yeah. And we hope to speak with you next week. I don't know what we plan on talking about, but we'll probably have an actual topic next week as opposed to
maybe colleges and community. Think on
colleges and community. Could we get Mike back on here?
I think so. I will ask him, but I think maybe next week might be like colleges and community. How they diverge, how they intersect. And
well, the Chillins have gone back, so it might be a good thing to talk about.
It'll be a good time to talk, I think. I think that's next week's topic, everyone. I think you heard it here now.
Alex is on it.
I got it.
Okay, well, thanks everyone. Have a great week.
Take care, everyone.
And bye.